Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. It's a story that feels eerily familiar for Washington Commanders fans, a narrative that triggers memories of hope, excitement, and ultimately, heartbreak. Jayden Daniels, the young quarterback who lit up the NFL in 2024 with a dazzling Offensive Rookie of the Year campaign, now finds himself navigating a second season plagued by injuries. For fans who watched Robert Griffin III rise and stumble in Washington, the parallels are impossible to ignore. Griffin's career began with such promise, a second overall pick in 2012, instantly electrifying the league, taking the Commanders to the playoffs, and ultimately being crowned Offensive Rookie of the Year. Then came the knee injury, the stumbles, the gradual unraveling of a career that seemed destined for greatness. Now, with Daniels, the story feels almost like a déjà vu. Same high expectations, same breakout rookie year, and now, the shadow of injuries casting doubt over a young quarterback's trajectory. However, Griffin himself is quick to push back against the comparisons, insisting that Daniels' situation is a completely different story. Speaking candidly about the media chatter and social media commentary that draws parallels between his career and Daniels', Griffin remains optimistic. "Nope," Griffin said with conviction. "I am a positive thinker. Okay, I believe that he will bounce back, as long as they give him the proper amount of time to fully heal. Everyone keeps mentioning me on social media, going into all these diatribes about how they're comparing my situation to Jayden Daniels, but they're really not even close to the same." Griffin's insistence on separating his narrative from Daniels is rooted in a combination of hope and first-hand understanding of the pressures that young quarterbacks face in the league. He knows how it feels to be placed on a pedestal, to have every move scrutinized, and to have your career trajectory dissected at every twist and turn. Still, the similarities are striking, almost uncanny, and it's easy to understand why fans and analysts alike are drawing comparisons. Daniels, like Griffin before him, was a high draft pick, chosen second overall, and immediately made an impact. He won Offensive Rookie of the Year and led his team to the playoffs, setting expectations sky high. Then came the injuries, though the circumstances differ. Griffin's career-altering setback was a knee injury that changed the course of his play, while Daniels' recent injury occurred in a different manner, a running play gone wrong, a fall that resulted in a dislocated elbow. Despite the differences, the optics are enough to trigger concern and caution among the Washington fanbase, who have seen this narrative before and understand the fragile nature of quarterback careers in the NFL. The coincidence extends further, too. Daniels' injury occurred on the same field, against the same team, and on the same yard line as Griffin's injury over a decade earlier. The similarities are not lost on Griffin, who chuckled at the uncanny nature of the coincidence. "Yeah," he said, "that's one hell of a coincidence." It's a moment that underscores the unpredictable, sometimes cruel, nature of professional football, where chance and circumstance can dramatically alter a player's trajectory. Yet Griffin is adamant that coincidences do not define careers. He points to the broader context of Daniels' situation, a young quarterback with the potential to rebound, with medical support, training adjustments, and the right mental approach. For Griffin, the story is less about repeating past mistakes and more about charting a positive path forward. Head coach Dan Quinn has also addressed the circumstances surrounding Daniels' injury, taking full responsibility for the decision-making that led to the incident. The injury occurred during a play in which Daniels was running the ball, placing his arm down to brace himself as he fell. While critics have questioned why Daniels remained in the game during a blowout situation, Quinn has openly acknowledged his misjudgment. "I get that," Quinn said. "I've been thinking about it nonstop too, and, man, I missed it. That is 100% on me." Obviously, the hindsight. You don't want to think that way that an injury would take place. We were more conservative in that spot to run and hand off. Just the end result. Obviously, I'm bummed. We didn't have any red plays on it. The one that he was injured, there's usually a runner or a throw to the flat, not a scramble. So it wasn't a designed read or play into that spot. If we run it 50 times, it's either a handoff or a throw 50 times. Quinn's transparency and willingness to shoulder the blame is notable in a league often dominated by deflection and finger-pointing, highlighting the pressures and split-second decisions coaches make every week. For Daniels, the injury is unfortunate, but it is framed within a broader narrative of accountability, healing, and resilience. The good news is that early reports indicate that Daniels' elbow injury, while significant, is not as severe as initially feared. There is no ligament damage, and surgery is not required. It is a dislocation, painful and limiting, but with proper care and rehabilitation, Daniels is expected to return sooner than many feared. For Griffin, this is where the distinction between his story and Daniels becomes clear. Whereas Griffin's knee injury permanently altered his mobility and forced a career adjustment, Daniels' injury is potentially fully recoverable. The path forward, Griffin believes, is not a repeat of the past, but an opportunity for a young quarterback to learn, adapt, and come back stronger. As the Commanders organization navigates this delicate period, the focus remains on the development and protection of their young quarterback. The parallels with Griffin's career will inevitably persist in the public discourse, and fans cannot help but draw comparisons. But those within the organization seem intent on charting a different course. Griffin's perspective, emphasizing optimism, patience, and proper healing, provides a blueprint for how to approach Daniels' recovery, not as a rerun of history, but as a unique opportunity. Daniels' skill set, adaptability, and mental toughness are all factors that, if nurtured, can deflect the shadow of past misfortune and open the door to a prolonged, successful career. Ultimately, the story of Jayden Daniels is still being written. The opening chapter was nothing short of spectacular, and though the second chapter has been interrupted by injury, it is far from finished. With Griffin's endorsement of a positive outlook, Quinn's accountability, and encouraging medical reports, there is reason for cautious optimism. Football, after all, is a game defined by resilience, and the narrative of a young quarterback returning from adversity resonates deeply with fans who have witnessed both the highs and lows of NFL history. Daniels' journey may parallel Griffin's in some superficial ways, but the details, the context, and the outcomes remain distinctly his own. For the Washington Commanders and their fan base, the hope is that this is a story of recovery, growth, and ultimate triumph, not of repetition, but of redemption. In the midst of scrutiny, comparisons, and the weight of expectation, the focus shifts to what matters most: the health and development of Jayden Daniels. His offensive prowess, vision, and playmaking abilities remain intact. What he needs now is time, patience, and a supportive environment to ensure that his second year does not define his legacy. Griffin's insistence that Daniels' journey is different, combined with the Commanders' commitment to protecting and developing their young quarterback, creates a framework for hope. Injuries are an unfortunate reality in the NFL, but they do not have to dictate the narrative, nor do they have to repeat the past. Daniels has the tools, the support, and the opportunity to carve a path uniquely his own, one that could rewrite the story of Washington quarterback success in the years to come. As fans and analysts watch closely, the hope is that this chapter will be remembered not for misfortune, but for resilience, for determination, and for the emergence of a quarterback capable of leading a franchise for years, unhindered by the shadow of history. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. The NFL world is buzzing with speculation tonight, and if you've been following the moves in the free agency pool, you know there's a particular name that's been floating around with more heat than a summer sidewalk. Asante Samuel Jr. Yes, you heard that right. The cornerback who's made a name for himself with lightning-quick reflexes, the ability to read quarterbacks like open books, and a knack for clutch plays is officially on the market, free to negotiate, and the whispers coming out of the nation's capital are impossible to ignore. The Washington Commanders, a team that has been quietly plotting, scouting, and scheming behind the scenes, could be on the verge of pulling off a move that might redefine their secondary in one stroke. It's the kind of chatter that makes free agency season feel like a high-stakes thriller, where every rumor could explode into a headline overnight, and every agent meeting might just tip the balance of a division. Sources close to the situation are painting a picture of a team that's hungry for transformation. Washington hasn't exactly been a bastion of defensive dominance in recent seasons, and the backfield has been a point of concern for coaches, analysts, and fans alike. Bringing in someone like Samuel Jr. could immediately inject talent, confidence, and, let's be honest, a bit of swagger into a unit that's desperately been craving an identity. Imagine the sideline reactions, the locker room vibes, the energy on game days when a corner of Samuel's caliber starts lining up across from some of the league's most dangerous receivers. It's not just about stats or coverage grades. It's about culture, perception, and the statement a team makes when it snatches up talent before anyone else even realizes the opportunity exists. The timing here is key, and it's what makes this rumor particularly juicy. Samuel Jr., a young, dynamic cornerback with several years of experience already under his belt, is entering free agency at a point where his value is arguably at its peak. He's got the highlight reels, the accolades, the playmaker label, and now, the market is wide open. Washington has a roster that can accommodate a player of his caliber both financially and schematically, and insiders suggest that there have been preliminary discussions, quiet nods, and subtle signals indicating that both sides might be seriously considering a partnership. The NFL rumor mill thrives on ambiguity, and right now, the ambiguity is delicious. Fans are reading between the lines, social media is buzzing with speculation, and rival front offices are likely scrambling to see if they've missed their chance to grab one of the top corners available this offseason. From a strategic perspective, signing Samuel Jr. could be more than just a defensive boost. It's a statement of intent, a way to signal to the division, and the league at large, that Washington is serious about contention. Cornerbacks who can change the trajectory of games don't hit the market every day, and when they do, teams with cap space, a need for secondary leadership, and the right environment are often the first to pounce. Imagine the matchup nightmares that opposing quarterbacks would face. A lockdown corner capable of turning short passes into turnovers, who can shadow the top receiver on the roster and still support in zone coverage seamlessly. It changes the game plan, not just for a single matchup, but for how teams approach the Commanders over an entire season. That's why this rumor has traction. It's plausible, it's strategic, and it makes a lot of sense when you look at Washington's current roster and their offseason objectives. Fans are already spinning scenarios in their heads, and why wouldn't they? The internet thrives on speculation, and a player like Samuel Jr. coming to Washington feels like the kind of narrative that builds anticipation, fuels debates, and drives engagement across every platform. Social media threads are lighting up with mock lineups, projection stats, and what-if scenarios. You've got some supporters saying this is the missing piece for a team that's been teetering on the edge of playoff contention, while skeptics are cautioning that one signing doesn't guarantee defensive supremacy. But here's the thing about cornerbacks of Samuel Jr.'s talent. Their impact is immediate and tangible. It's not just a theoretical improvement. It's a practical, on-the-field change that opponents will have to account for from week one. And when a team can make that kind of adjustment without mortgaging the future, you bet that rumor will get louder and louder until there's an official announcement. The Commanders' front office has been methodical, almost surgical, in past moves, and insiders suggest that this potential signing aligns with a longer-term vision. It's not just about patching gaps. It's about constructing a team capable of competing at the highest level while maintaining flexibility for future seasons. Samuel Jr., still young, still improving, and clearly motivated, fits into that vision like a puzzle piece that's been waiting for the right moment to slide into place. And while nothing is official yet, the buzz around training facilities, agent networks, and informal league channels is unmistakable. Washington could be poised to make a splash that resonates well beyond just one offseason. Rumors like these aren't created out of thin air. They're often rooted in preliminary talks, mutual interest, and a convergence of needs that just happens to make perfect sense. There's also a broader context to consider here, one that adds layers to the rumor. The NFC East has been more competitive than many analysts predicted, and teams like Dallas, Philadelphia, and New York are all actively looking to bolster rosters and defensive capabilities. If Washington does move quickly on Samuel Jr., it could shift the balance of power in the division, forcing rivals to rethink strategies, personnel decisions, and perhaps even draft priorities. It's one thing to improve a roster incrementally. It's another to create a ripple effect that impacts not just your team, but the entire competitive landscape around you. And insiders hint that this possibility is exactly what makes the potential move so tantalizing. Of course, rumors are just that, rumors, but the circumstantial evidence is stacking up in ways that make this one particularly compelling. Conversations at the league level, hints from agents, subtle comments from coaching staff, and the timing of Samuel Jr.'s free agency all point toward the possibility that a deal could materialize sooner rather than later. Analysts are already sketching out hypothetical contracts, projected roles, and the statistical impact he could have on an improving secondary. The narrative practically writes itself: a talented, dynamic cornerback hitting the open market, a team with a need and the capability to sign him, and a division ripe for disruption. The ingredients for drama are all present, and fans of the Commanders, and the NFL at large, are watching closely, eager to see if this whisper becomes reality. As the league buzzes, one thing is clear: the possibility of Asante Samuel Jr. landing in Washington is exactly the kind of story that captures imaginations, sparks debate, and keeps people glued to screens, timelines, and sports talk shows. Whether it happens or not, the very idea of it is enough to create a wave of excitement. But make no mistake, if the Commanders do pull this off, it won't just be a signing, it'll be a statement. A message to the division, a message to the league, and most importantly, a message to fans that the team is serious about competing at the highest level. Keep your eyes peeled, because the NFL rumor mill is alive and kicking, and right now, this one could explode into something unforgettable. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.